and welcome to the Yarn Parlor. I'm Allison. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as alevitt1. This is my podcast about knitting, spinning, and knitwear design. You can join us in the Ravelry group, say hello, and find the show notes there. Today is March 1st, Tuesday. This is episode 7, and I think that's it for intro. I wanted to start today's podcast talking about creating a reference library in the Ravelry group. So each thread will be a knitting or spinning technique, and then I'm going to research that technique and put links to where you can find how to do these things or tips and tricks about how to do short rows better. So this month I want to do short rows. Since this year I'm really diving into designing and creating and learning lots of new things with my sock challenge, with my swatch challenge, working with different yarns and everything. I thought that it would be really great to start a reference library for different design techniques. Not even design, just knitting techniques. And since I'm new at spinning, I'll start a thread for spinning as well and learning new techniques in spinning information. Instead of writing tutorials, because it's just not my thing, at least not yet. A lot of this stuff is new for me, so I just want to create this library that I can go back on or learn new things. I think the reason that I wanted to start this is because I was thinking about my pattern making and how I was putting it off, because after I had knit the first prototype, I kind of put it off for a couple weeks because I was almost scared of the next steps because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know a tech editor. I don't know about, I know how to grade, but it's just, I just procrastinated because there were some things that I didn't know how to do. And then I bought that tech editing course and I was energized. I was excited to continue on with the process. And I think a lot of people are the same way. Julie from Diary of a Yarn Snob, she was talking about how she wanted to learn short rows. And her sister had bought her the Craftsy short row class, but she was still scared to learn how to do it, or she was just also putting it off, procrastinating, because it's a new technique and you feel like you have to be in the right moment and have the right time and take a couple minutes to learn something new, and you might be scared to try something new. And I want to be able to create a library for all of these knitting techniques where you have references from many people. Like, everybody can comment on tips and tricks that they've learned how to do and put in links on what they think the best article is or YouTube videos that they found really helpful. And then you just have it all there. I want to try to have very little chatter in these threads about it, just so that you can easily go in there and have a list that you don't have to read through people's conversations about things. Maybe I'll start a separate thread about that. But I just want to have a thread where you can go in and find things easily, and so you're not scared and you're not procrastinating, and it really is quite helpful. So I'm going to start doing research on short rows this month, and I'll probably put in the thread at the end of the month and maybe talk about them a little bit. I want to, in my research, I'll just find the different techniques, how to do them, if there are classes about it, where to find the videos, and then tips and tricks if I've found any, and everybody can just join in and put in their information as well. So I think it'll be a really good tool for teaching yourself a new technique. I will go on to my March yarns for my sock and swatch challenge. So here's my I wrote everything down on little pieces of paper, and then I have my husband number them so I couldn't read through the paper. and put in the ones that I wanted to do first. So for the sock challenge, it is, oh, that's funny. So this is my White Birch Fiber Arts Nothing Says Screw You Like a Rainbow, but I had switched it with last month's so that I could use it for the rainbow along. So last month's was actually the Gnome Acres Rabbit Season, Duck Season. So it's a camouflage with a contrasting orange. And just to show you guys how I'm doing all of this, I have my art bin. My dad got me this a couple Christmases ago, and so I put all the yarn on the inside. I keep my little tags in this, I think it's a needle case, Notions pouch that came with it. And so all of my yarns are neatly put in here. Whoop. Oh. And here is, and I had some left over from, I bought a set of this for my dad's socks, which was in my first episode and second episode, I think. And I bought a set for myself because I thought it was really cool, and I call it my Duck Dynasty socks. And so I have, it's a camouflage, as you can tell, and here is the orange contrast. So for these, I actually, since I have leftover from my dad's skein and his orange, I have so much left over, I wanted to do like a knee-high or a thigh-high sock, which will probably take me forever to knit these, but that's the plan, is to do a tall sock with those. And I keep all the labels in the front of the art bin. So here is the label for, it's a doppelganger set, and it's Wabbit Season, Duck Season from Gnome Acres, which is 75 super merino, 25 nylon. She does 460 yards for this one, this colorway, and 300 yards of the Don't Get Shot orange. I thought I had this listed as like caution orange. I thought I got that off of her website, but maybe it's different. Okay, so this is Wabbit Season, Duck Season, and Don't Get Shot orange. In the House Gnome fingering sock base. So that is my sock for March, and I will look up a pattern to share next week. And for the swatch challenge, it is Woolfolk, yeah, Snow, in color number 14 plus 15. Oh, because it's marled, yeah. And it's like a spruce green and a black 2-ply. It is 223 yards. Of 100% Ovis 21 Ultimate Merino. And here is their tag. And did I just, no, that's not upside down, okay. Okay, so those are my 2 March yarns that I'll be working with. FOs, I finished my tank top for my pattern, but I don't want to show it until the pattern is published because I want to do some talking about it then. And I didn't get to too much knitting this week, so it'll be a short knitting segment. I'm still working on my rainbow socks, so I did not make the Cal deadline for Suburban Stitcher's Rainbow Along. This is how far I've gotten, which is probably, I forgot to put a progress keeper in, but I think it's this much is what I did, or somewhere around here. And yeah, I've talked enough about these socks. Hopefully I'll get some more time to knit this week and finish these because I've got some thigh highs to knit. Quick talk about these. It's the White Birch Fiber Arts. Nothing says screw you like a rainbow. Here's my completed sock. It's Josh Rick's Mystic Spiral sock. I did an OMG heel for Megan Williams. And any alterations I put in the last episode if you want to check those out. My next whip, that's not really a whip yet, is the Exploration Station. I am joining Eric's Exploration Station Cal from Sticks Plus Twine. And I've been doing swatching. So last week I showed you this swatch. It is like one giant knot that I'm just trailing behind these swatches. I showed you this swatch and I'm changing my colors. So I wanted to use this, which I called forest green, but it's really a spruce. Last episode. Only I couldn't think of spruce, so I just said forest. Close. Trees. And I was going to use Edison bulb, but I didn't like it. So I changed my colors because I can never make up my mind about colors. So I'm using this green instead of the yellow. It goes so much better with the greens in my variegated. And then I was like, I really like these two colors together, but for the Exploration Station, you don't have to follow it, but I want to follow his pattern and his color combination of colors A through D and their placements. And I really like these two together, but if I use this as my color A, these two, the green and the spruce, wouldn't really be striped or patterned together in his larger pattern sections. They would just kind of touch in the first beginning shaping. So I decided to use the purple as my color A, and I did a swatch for that. So this is basically the color combination that I'm going to have, is using this purple as my color A, color B, well, I'll go over them I guess now. Color A is from Hedgehog Fibers. Oh shoot, I left my labels in the other room. Hedgehog Fibers, it's called Spook. I got it in the October sock club twist sock is the base, which I don't remember what it is. Shoot. I'm sure it's probably superwash merino and nylon. But this is my purple, color A. Color B is Stimpy Lab. So when I was doing my show notes last week, because I mentioned I think the colors were off from the pictures on her website. And when I was going and doing the show notes, I was like, let me check out what new things she might have. And as I'm scrolling through, I had ordered Rave in the Grave, but this looks nothing like Rave in the Grave. However, it looks just like her Goosebumps colorway. So I think this is actually Goosebumps from Stimpy Lab, which is fine. It's still a beautiful color. Maybe I'll reorder Rave in the Grave. It's got these purples and greens, yellow, there's just so much color definition in here that it's like purples with little light pinks, light purples, and then the greens and yellows turns into this and tealy blue. I love it. I think it's great. Then color C is the one that was going to be Edison Bulb, but I'm using Silken Straw. Alchemy's Silken Straw. Is there a special name for it? No, just silk and straw. This is the Sourgrass colorway. It's 100% silk and it has this linen-y texture to it. And I'm going to strand it because when I was knitting with this alone, it left these spaces in the stitches that just, and it was super shiny because it's silk and it looked too different from all of the wool yarns that I'm using. It didn't, like the puffiness from the wool yarn kind of fills in the gaps, so it just looked like odd man out. So I'm stranding it with Boo's Garden Haiku mohair silk, which is what I was using for my Nirmalintu, and why I say was is because I'm ripping it out. It was stressing me out to try and finish it, and I'm just like not super in love with it anymore, so I'm ripping it out, I'm frogging it, and I'm going to steal the silk mohair and strand it with the sour grass. This is 40 silk, 60 mohair. And then color D is Hedgehog Fibers Wish. It's BFL, I think it's 90 BFL and 10 nylon. So here are my colors. And I practiced my brioche. Now I did the swatches on US 6 4mm, which is what the pattern calls for, and then I practiced brioche, and I'm going to size down my needles to a 5, which is what I did for my practice swatch, because a lot of people have talked about their exploration station saying that they would have sized down for the brioche section because it's knits much looser on the same needle size. So I'm going to use a US 5, which is a 3.75. My main colorway is going to be the Stimpy Lab, which is this side, and then I swatched it with each different color just to see which one would look best. I'm toying with the idea of using all three, but I probably will just, like I said, follow the pattern, and it will be this with the green, the sour grass. So it's the middle section on my brioche. My start was super loose. And I still don't have the brioche pattern down. I have to read the directions row for row to know what I'm doing. It hasn't clicked yet. I just wanted to understand how to do the stitch instead of really focusing on, okay, now memorize it, and if you see that you ended on this row, what would be the next row and what are the next steps? I just wanted to see if I could do the stitch. So that was all I practiced. And while I was practicing this, I was practicing my flicking, because I knit and I drop my needle. And then I wrap my yarn. So I wanted to get a little bit faster and learn how to flick. And when I flick, my tension gets way tighter. So I thought it would be a great practicing tool for the brioche, since brioche is loose and I'd rather have it a little bit tighter. So the smaller needles and then my tight tensioned flicking, I think will work out great. It does look pretty cool. Oh, this Stimpy Lab yarn just looks so awesome with all of these other yarns. And doing the swatch really made me want to do an excuse me hat to match with the exploration station, because I think these colors are so great together, and striped like this would be awesome. The pattern is for a DK though. I'm gonna have to figure out, I mean, I can hold them double obviously, but I don't know if I want to do that. But that would be the quick fix. So this is going to be my exploration station. The cal started today, March 1st, for section 1 till March 10th is the time that Eric gave for section 1. And after I film, I am going to be casting on the Exploration Station. My track record for cals is still not good. But maybe this is the one. Maybe this is where I turn my life around and really follow a timeline. So that's what I'm hoping for, that this is the cal that I start actually following time schedule. That's it for knitting. It's real short this week, but I didn't have that much time this week to knit, and next week will be better, I promise. But on to spinning. I got a question from Karen about spinning with Rolex, if you can use a spinning wheel or if they're purposely just for drop spindle. And I had to look up the answer because I am still not that good at spinning. Or I just don't know all this information. It's not like I'm not good at spinning. I started making yarn on a drop spindle, and I don't know if I'm doing it correctly, but it seems to be right, and I don't know the difference from woolen from worsted. So again, this whole research reference library, I think, will come in handy for myself and hopefully for you guys. But to answer her question, yes, you can use both. You can use a spinning wheel and you can use a drop spindle. I've watched a couple tutorials on YouTube, and what else did I find out about it? Rolegs are usually spun long draw or woolen style. I don't know if that's the right terminology. Okay, the purest form of spinning woolen is a long draw, hand carded Roleg. My cat is running around like crazy. Okay. Apparently that's the purest form of spinning woolen style. It means that the fibers are arranged in kind of a random way, that they're not all parallel to each other. It's great for short fibers, a woolen spun style, and the fiber is prepped through carding, not combs. And woolen spun is less durable than worsted. And all of this information I found through knittyspin.com, an article called The Spinner's Glossary, which I'll put a link in the show notes. Which was a really good article. I definitely recommend checking it out. And I would like to thank Karen for asking that question, because now I'm super interested in spinning some of my Rolegs in this woolen long draw style. So I'm going to try and consciously spin in a long draw. I think that's what it's called, yeah. In a woolen spun long draw style. I also want to add some threads, not only about spinning techniques, but this week I'm going to add a spinning thread to show off your spinning work, what you're working on, what you've made, and possibly a tips and tricks and a reference thread. I'll just start that now, and you can go in there and add where you found great information, like maybe just start the reference for spinning as a general. How did you learn? What videos did you find helpful? What books? Where to go to find different information about spinning? Now, so I finished my hobbledehoy batlings this week. So here are all of my, here are all of my little skeins of hobbledehoy, which is actually, I thought it was a merino, and I think I said last episode or episodes past that it was a merino, but it's actually organic Polworth. Where's my information? Organic Polworth, bamboo, soy silk, and sparkle. Where are, I think these were the, no, I think these were the last 3 that I did. No, that's not right either. I think these were the last 3. So I have about 4 ounces. And the only thing that I will say that I did not like about this is that there was some, I don't know what fiber it was, but it was like a really bright robin's egg blue, and it was beautiful when it spun up with all the other colors. But then when I did my soak, it kind of washed out and just became like a shimmery silver, gray silver, which was kind of disappointing because it was really like a nice pop of color. But other than that, I am so happy with the way that these came out. There's like, they look quite mermaidy, some of the greens and blues in there. So it's greens and blues and purples and burgundy and then this light colored one, which was the sample one she actually sent, but I think it still works fine in there, even though it's just a little bit lighter. And I didn't weigh it, but from the amount, like I said, it was around 4 ounces, and it's like lace weight to DK. It's not very consistent. I was trying to get a fingering, but that's fine. I'm super happy. This is like the first large batch of yarn that I've ever spun that I can actually make a project out of, so I'm quite proud of myself. And the project that I'm going to start with this is the Bactus shawl by Strictly's. I think is probably not how you pronounce it, but I'll put it in the show notes, a link in the show notes. So I saw on the Lone Larch Designs podcast with Jenny, her latest podcast, she was showing off her lacy Bactus, which she had made a while ago, and I thought that would be the perfect project. It's simple, it's a short shawl like kerchief, but really long so you can wrap around. And I like a shorter shawl at the point. So I thought it was great. And the way that you do it, it's just a simple garter stitch with that shape. And you can weigh your yarn, and then at your halfway point, you just do your increases, and then at your halfway point, you just start doing your decreases along with the tail. That was like terrible hand gesture. I don't even know. Anyway, you get what I'm saying, I hope. So I thought this would be great because then I can weigh my yarn, and even though it's not super consistent, I can still get an about measurement of where my halfway point is to start my decreases. And I can use up all of my hand spun with this project. So I think it's great, and hopefully it will show off the colors. And it's simple enough and easy, and I kind of just need that right now. So, with my exploration station and all of my other projects that I've got going. But that's what I want to do with my first hand-spun yarn. My first large-ish project with my hand-spun yarn. For this coming week, I want to work on my loop bump still and hopefully some of the roll legs that I bought. And talking about roll legs, these are the last acquisitions that I had from last week. This is the final lot. Yeah. This is from up on Poppy Hill. These are the roll legs. There's a set of 4 in each batch, and I bought 2. So I've got a little over 4 ounces, or about 4 ounces. I loved this blue in here with the orange. I thought it was really great. It's like not showing up blue. Okay. It's Cormo, silk, Firestar, and nylon. And I'm very excited to work with these because they're so soft. The Cormo is from their, they grow it on their farm. They grow sheeps on their farm. And it's also hand dyed and hand carded. What's the woolen prep? I think it's carded. Did I just mess that up? Yes. Yes, hand carded. So I think these might be the Rolex that I use this week to practice my woolen spun yarn because they seem like they are the perfect. I mean, not that the other ones aren't, but they're so squishy and soft and like ginormous. Love those. And then the second colorway that I bought was Ireland. And it's, wow, look at how pretty that is. It looks so great on camera. And this one, oh my gosh, where's the card? I had both cards over here. Okay. This one is Cormo Silk Firestar Nylon and Sparkle, and it's got like this chestnut sparkle. Oh, which is so cool. I love that color. I like chestnut. Getting fiber in my tea. Did I say what these are? Cormo Silk Firestar Nylon Sparkle. Yes. And I bought 2 batches of these, so I've got 4 ounces of this as well. And they're really squishy. The colors are great. And I'm happy with my purchases. And that's it for this week. Thank you for joining me. And leave a comment, subscribe, like the video. If there's anything, it really lets me know when you do those things if you like the content that I'm giving you. So if you, I'd really appreciate it if you would do any one of those 3 things. It lets me know that you like what I'm putting out. If not, please leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see on the podcast, and then I can add in those areas as well. And yeah, thanks for joining me. You can leave comments or questions in Ravelry as well as here below or whatnot. And I will see you next week. Thanks. Bye.